Tonight's story takes us to a quiet English town where a young boy named Kai vanished without a trace after a strange light was seen in the sky. What followed was a chain of terrifying events that left the entire community shaken, and some things were never meant to be explained. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who loves a good scare, and subscribe for more true horror stories that'll keep you up at night. Now, let's begin. I remember the first time we pulled into the driveway. The house looked tired, slumped, like it had been waiting too long for someone to remember it existed. Cal said it had character. I said it needed a full exorcism. We laughed, but that laugh didn't last long. There was one window upstairs, fogged over from the inside. We couldn't see through it, and when I asked the estate agent about it, she got quiet. Just said, some things are best left alone. I thought she was joking. The first week we moved in, it felt normal. Dusty, creaky, but normal. But Luna, our cat, wouldn't set foot on the stairs. She'd growl, low in her throat, whenever we walked up. The second week, I heard the lock. A single, deliberate click in the hallway upstairs. It came from the room with the fogged window. We didn't have the key. The door was locked from day one. We assumed it was just storage. I tried to ignore it, until I woke one night and saw the door cracked open. I don't know why I walked toward it, but I did. Inside was nothing. No furniture. No dust. Just 4 deep scratches on the inside of the door, like something with fingers or claws had tried to get out. That night, I started sleeping with the light on. Cal changed after that. He'd stand outside the door in the dark, head tilted like he was listening to someone whispering behind it. When I asked him what he was doing, he said, "She's almost done waiting." I laughed nervously. He didn't. Then came the bleeding. From his ears. We went to A&E, no physical cause. Just stress, they said. But I'd find clumps of hair in the hallway outside that room. And they weren't Cal's. Or mine. One night, Luna ran upstairs. It was the first time she ever did. She sprinted into the hallway, stood outside the locked door, and let out this awful, guttural yowl. Like something was hurting her. We chased her up, and the door was wide open. The room was empty again. But Luna wouldn't come out. She sat in the center, growling at the walls, her eyes tracking something invisible. We had to drag her out. Her claws left scratch marks on the floor. That's when I told Cal we had to go. He didn't answer, just stood there, eyes glassy, whispering something I couldn't make out. I got in the car that night. I drove to my sister's. When I came back the next morning, Cal was gone, but the door was locked again. From the inside, I called the police. They broke it down. The room was empty, except for Luna, lying dead in the center. Her neck twisted too far, like something had spun her. They searched for Cal for days. Found nothing, until 2 weeks later. I got a letter. No return address. Inside was a single Polaroid of the room, and in the center was Cal. Naked, curled up on the floor, eyes wide and mouth open. Behind him, a woman. Pale, wet hair, grinning with too many teeth. But worst of all, she looked exactly like me. Just wrong. Like someone had copied my face from memory and stitched it onto something else. The photo smelled like mildew. And the date printed on the bottom? December 4th, 1962. 30 years before I was born. I moved out. Burned everything I owned from that house. But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I see her. She wears my face like a mask. And she's always holding a key. I told myself I was done, that I could move on. But trauma isn't like a cut. It doesn't scab over. It seeps. 3 months after the house, I was still waking up gasping, reaching for Cal. For Luna. I started seeing her again. Not in dreams. In mirrors. She'd blink when I didn't. Smile when I cried. And I kept hearing that door lock. Click in my apartment. Even though I didn't have one like it. Then came the second letter. No return address. Same Polaroid photo, same date. But this time, Cal's mouth was stitched shut, and my double was standing closer. In her hand, a key, and in the corner, in faded handwriting. Almost ready. I lost it. Went to the police. They chalked it up to a stalker. Told me to change my number or my locks. I changed cities instead. Started sleeping with the lights on again. But one night, I heard scratching. Inside my bedroom wall. Rhythmic. Like nails. Click, click, click. Then came the third letter. Inside, a single item. A key, rusty, cold, and I recognized it. The exact shape, the same worn metal. It matched the lock on that cursed door in the house. But the postmark was worse. It was stamped 1962. I started digging. Old archives, local legends, and I found her. Margaret Halle lived in that house in the 60s. Committed to Ashridge Asylum after claiming her husband was replaced. She said he came home one night with her face, and that the woman in the mirror told her to let her in. She locked herself in that upstairs room, scratched warnings into the door, burned her own eyes out with a spoon. They found her mumbling, "She's still waiting. She's wearing me." I found one grainy photo of Margaret Hale from the asylum, and my stomach turned. She looked exactly like me. Not just similar, identical. Same eyes, same mole, same scar above the brow I got when I was 5. I thought it was a coincidence, or trauma screwing with my perception, until the 4th envelope arrived. No letter this time, just a photo of me, sleeping, taken from inside my bedroom, and behind me, standing in the shadows, was her, my double, closer now, smiling wider, holding the key up to her mouth, about to swallow it. I left everything behind, went to stay with an old uni friend in Manchester. Didn't tell her anything, just said I needed to disappear for a while. But 2 nights ago, her dog wouldn't stop barking at the guest room door. When we opened it, there was nothing, except one thing, a small Polaroid pinned to the inside of the door, of Cal. But now I was standing behind him, wearing my own face, except my smile was too wide, my eyes too black, and in my hand, the key. I burned the photo, but I know it's not over. Not for me. She's not trying to possess me. She's trying to replace me. And the door, the real one, it's not in the house anymore. I think I'm carrying it with me. Wherever you go. She's getting closer. Hello everyone. It's me, Scripted Fear here. Tonight's story is one that's haunted me ever since I heard it. And I wish I could tell you it had a happy ending. It came from a woman named Adele Langford, a new mother who inherited a family home in Norfolk. But in that house, something was waiting for her. Something in the pipes. Something in the bath. This is her story. This is the drowning room. You never really understand sleep deprivation until you've had a baby. My son, Jamie, was 4 weeks old when we moved into my aunt's old cottage. A single-story brick home with ivy crawling up the walls, like nature was trying to reclaim it. I moved there alone, well, alone with Jamie. My partner left when I was 7 months pregnant. I didn't have a choice. I needed somewhere quiet, safe, but this place was never safe. The first night, I heard it. I was nursing Jamie in the dark, rocking slowly in the old chair that had belonged to my aunt. He was whimpering, not really crying, just unsettled. And then, from the bathroom, I heard the tap turn on. Just for a second, a splatter of water into porcelain. Then silence. I thought maybe it was old pipes. The house was from the 1800s, but something about the timing. Right when I looked toward the dark hallway, it felt like the house was listening. By the 3rd night, I started closing the bathroom door. Every time I left it open, I'd hear the same thing. A brief splash, like something dropped into the tub. I even checked the taps. They weren't leaking, but when I pressed my hand to the tub, it was always cold, like someone just drained it. The next week, things got worse. I was giving Jamie a bath in a small infant tub. Not even the real bath, just a plastic basin on the counter. He was cooing, happy, finally relaxing. And then, the lights flickered, just once, but long enough that I saw it. A pale hand, rising from the actual bathtub, behind us. Thin, long fingers, wet. It reached up and slowly gripped the edge of the porcelain like someone was pulling themselves out. I turned, clutching Jamie to my chest. The tub was empty, dry, cold, but the mirror above it was fogged over, like someone had breathed on it. I didn't sleep that night. I told myself it was exhaustion, hormones, postpartum stress. But every time I put Jamie to sleep, I'd hear it again. The dripping, the pipes moaning, the faint sound of water running, and then being cut off like someone realized I was listening. And Jamie started changing. He'd cry when I carried him past the bathroom. Not baby fussing, screaming, like something in there hurt him. One night, I left a baby monitor on in his nursery. I went to the kitchen to grab some tea, and then I heard it, not crying, not cooing, a faint splash, as if someone had dropped a stone in a pool. Then a voice, not a baby's. He doesn't belong to you. I ran. I kicked the nursery door open. Jamie was dry, asleep in his crib, but on the wall, next to him, drawn in wet fingerprints, was a message. Give him back. I tried to leave. I packed the car, bundled Jamie in blankets, and made it to the front gate. But the car wouldn't start. Dead battery. My phone screen flickered and died, even though it had 40%. When I looked up at the house, the bathroom light was on. It was the only light, and silhouetted in the window was a woman, choking vet, hair dripping, and holding something cradled in her arms, rocking it like a baby. He doesn't belong to you. I ran. I kicked the nursery door open. Jamie was dry, asleep in his crib, but on the wall, next to him, drawn in vet fingerprints, was a message. Give him back. I tried to leave. I packed the car, bundled Jamie in blankets, and made it to the front gate. But the car wouldn't start. Dead battery. My phone screen flickered and died, even though it had 40%. When I looked up at the house, the bathroom light was on. It was the only light, and silhouetted in the window was a woman, choking vet, hair dripping, and holding something cradled in her arms, rocking it like a baby. He doesn't belong to you. I ran. I kicked the nursery door open. Jamie was dry, asleep in his crib, but on the wall, next to him, drawn in wet fingerprints, was a message. Give him back. I tried to leave. I packed the car, bundled Jamie in blankets, and made it to the front gate. But the car wouldn't start. Dead battery. My phone screen flickered and died, even though it had 40%. When I looked up at the house, the bathroom light was on. It was the only light, and silhouetted in the window was a woman, soaking wet, hair dripping, and holding something cradled in her arms, rocking it like a baby. I stayed in a hotel that night, came back in the morning, only to pack. I needed out. I didn't care if I had to sleep in my car, but the house wouldn't let me. Every time I picked up Jamie's things, they'd end up back in the crib. I'd move the stroller to the hallway, and when I turned around, it was back by the door. Even my keys, I grabbed them, shoved them in my pocket, and the next time I checked, they were gone, sitting on the bathtub ledge. I screamed. At the house. At whatever it was. At her. I said, "You can't have him. He's mine." That night, the bathroom door wouldn't close. No matter how hard I slammed it, it would creak open just a crack, enough for steam to slip through. And then came the sound. Not dripping, gurgling, like someone was trapped, just under the surface. I sat in Jamie's room with a knife. Just sat there, watching the door, listening. I was even nuts. I blinked, and when I looked up, the crib was full of water. Jamie wasn't crying. He was floating, his little body limp, face just below the surface. I dove in. There was no water. Just him, crying, red-faced, confused. He was dry, but the floor beneath me was wet. Not like spilled tea. Soaked, flooded, cold. And from the hallway, I heard her, a woman's voice. Distant, mournful. I didn't mean to. I only turned my back for a second. I found the old records the next day. My aunt never mentioned a tenant, but there was one. A woman who'd lived there in the 1960s. Her name was Eleanor Shaw. Her baby drowned in that bathtub. She was in the kitchen, making formula. They said it was an accident. She swore the tub was empty. Swore something pulled him under. She died in an asylum in 1971. Suicide. I called a priest. He wouldn't come. Said the house had been marked. Said the thing there wasn't Eleanor anymore. I called a plumber. He came to inspect the pipes. When he opened the main valve, he pulled out a cloth. Soaked. Moldy. Infant-sized. It was a baby's bonnet. Jamie was crying again. I was beyond exhausted, but I had this weight in my chest. I knew it was the last night I could stay. I walked into the bathroom, stared into the mirror. The tub was empty. I whispered, "You lost your child. I am sorry, but this one isn't yours." And behind me, Eleanor appeared. Vet. Pale. Hollow-eyed. And for the first time, she looked sad. Not angry. Not malevolent. Just broken. She whispered, "He looks just like mine." Then she faded. Steam curled upward, and the door finally stayed shut. I moved the next day. Took nothing with me but Jamie. Left the crib, the chair, the clothes. And every time I bathe Jamie now, I keep my hand on his chest. Even now, sometimes I hear water running when it's not. Sometimes I find the bathroom door open again. And once, just once, I find a small handprint on the mirror. Too small to be mine. Too big to be Jamie's. I was 29 when it happened, working nights at the Severn Pines Motel off Highway 16. I took the job because I didn't have any better offers. Didn't ask questions. Didn't bother anyone. It was the kind of place that barely kept the lights on. 12 rooms, one broken vending machine, and a busted neon sign outside that flickered so bad I once saw it blink out my own name. But it paid in cash and let me disappear. That's all I wanted back then. Until one Thursday night, about 2:30 in the morning, a man came in. He didn't look like a drifter or a trucker. He wore a black coat, long and damp. Not wet from rain, it hadn't rained in days. Damp like it had just been pulled out of the earth. He didn't smile, didn't make small talk. Just said, "Room 12. Please." I hesitated. Room 12 was supposed to stay empty. The manager told me that on day one. "Never rent out 12, he said. "It's got issues." I figure mold or plumbing. Never asked. So I said, "Sorry, that room's out of service. I can give you 10 or 11. The man didn't move. He just said again calmly, "Room 12. Please." I looked at his face, pale, eyes sunken like he hadn't slept in years. And without thinking, I reached under the desk and handed him the key. The moment his fingers touched it, the overhead light buzzed loud, then blew out. Just like that, half the lobby went dark. He didn't flinch, just turned and walked away. About 10 minutes later, a woman came in. Same thing. No car outside, no sound of footsteps. Just appeared at the door like she'd been standing there, waiting for it to open. She was wearing an old-fashioned dress, faded floral like something from the 50s. Hair neatly pinned, lips bloodless. And she said, "My husband just checked in. Room 12. I nodded. Then she added, "We'll need towels." He always forgets towels. So I grabbed a few from the back, handed them over, and she smiled. Not warmly, like a doll, frozen in place. She left. After they were gone, I checked the monitor. Room 12's door was shut, but there was no car outside, no footsteps on the gravel, just silence. And the feed to room 12's hallway camera? Static. Every other feed was clear. Room 12's was snow. At 3:12 a.m., I heard the bell again. Another person, a boy this time, looked about 15. Shaggy hair, hoodie, eyes red like he'd been crying. He whispered, "My parents are here." They checked in. I didn't even argue. I handed him the third key to room 12. And as he took it, he said, "They don't know I remember." I asked, "Remember what?" He just looked up and said, "How he died." I didn't sleep the next day. I stayed up, looked up every old article I could find about Severn Pines, and eventually I found it. 1959, a family of 3, mother, father, teenage son, stayed in room 12. Neighbors said they heard screaming, then nothing. The manager found all 3 of them drowned in the bathtub. No signs of struggle, no water in the tub. And the weirdest part, the room hadn't been rented that week. The register was blank. No one should have been there. Next night, I told myself it was a dream, that I'd imagined it, even when the hallway camera still showed static. Then at 2:30 a.m. sharp, another knock at the door. A child, 6, maybe 7, wearing striped pajamas. No shoes, just there. She said, "I forgot my bunny." I asked where her parents were. She pointed toward room 12. I should have called someone, but my hand moved on its own. I handed her the key. She smiled, grabbed it, and as she turned away, she whispered, "It wasn't just us. There were others. Still are." That's when I started seeing them during the day. Walking past the vending machine, standing near the vending machine, sometimes just staring through the glass of the lobby. But when I go to check, they'd vanish. The real manager came by once that week. I asked about room 12. He said it had been sealed for insurance reasons years ago. But every time they tried to renovate it, someone got hurt. A contractor slipped and broke both legs. Another vanished for 3 hours, found in the basement with no memory of how he got there. I asked why not just demolish it. He said, "You don't get it. That room doesn't belong to us. Never did. The final night, I didn't go inside the office. I sat in my car, engine running, watched the motel through the windshield. At 2:30, the light in room 12 turned on. One by one, silhouettes appeared in the window. Not just three anymore, dozens. A woman holding a broken doll, a man with his throat torn open, a child with empty eyes. Each one pressed their face to the glass, watching me, waiting. I quit the next morning, left my keys on the counter, and drove 900 miles to Oregon. Never looked back, but sometimes, around 2:30 a.m., I wake up and see water dripping in my bathroom sink. Just one slow drop. And once, I found a motel key on my nightstand. Room 12, and I don't even remember bringing it with me. That was the visitors from room 12, a place still listed on maps, still showing vacancy in faded red neon. And if you ever pass through that stretch of Wyoming highway, do yourself a favor. Don't stop. And if you do, don't ask for room 12, because some rooms aren't built to hold the living. This is Scripted Fear, and I'll see you in the next story. Sleep tight.